Okay, welcome everybody. For those who are just joining us this evening, my name is Cody. I will be your host this evening, and I am from the Future Students team here at University of the Sunshine Coast, and I'm actually based on our Sunshine Coast campus. We are joined by some special guests, program coordinator of our law program, Dale Mitchell, as well as Associate Professor Alex Pellison, as well as our current student, Emma, as well, who is, I believe, coming up to her fourth year. Oh, no, sorry, coming up to her fifth year. I believe that must be her final year by now, who we'll get to meet a little bit later. So, this is how this evening's going to go. We're going to give you a wealth of knowledge across our programs, the career opportunities, the work integrated learning opportunities where you can actually have a little hands-on work experience while getting your degree done, as well as an opportunity to ask a range of questions. Now, talking about questions, there is a Q&A tab at the top or bottom of your screen, depending on what device you're on. Utilize this throughout the whole entire presentation and ask all your questions because we actually have Joel and Charlie, our future student team members, answering questions all throughout the presentation. Now, if you are dying to get your questions answered, throw them in now. If not, you can hold out until we have a panel discussion a little bit later on where you can put your questions in then and we'll answer them live. So please don't forget there is a Q&A button at the top or bottom of the screen. Use this option versus the chat option. So make sure it's the Q&A tab and throw in your questions there. And Joel and Charlie are waiting there to answer them for you now. We'll get started. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live and recognize their continuing connection to land, water, and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So a little bit about UniSC before we jump into our law program. We are actually a multi-campus university. So we have actually 5 campuses. We actually have a couple of more that are developing over the next couple of years. But we have the Fraser Coast campus, which is up in Harvey Bay. We have Gympie. We also have Caboolture. These 3 campuses are what we call our smaller campuses or more personalized regional campuses, where we have then Sunshine Coast and Moreton Bay. These are what we call our full service campuses. So you'll expect to have 5 to 10,000 students on these campuses, a range of facilities. This is where you can study some of our law programs and an opportunity as well to go into all of our extracurriculars outside of study. Now, pros and cons when it comes to all our different campuses, and they all are different compared to depending on what you would like to see. Just finally, we also have online, and some of our law and society programs are available online as well. And I'm sure Dale and Alice can talk about what that looks like. So outside of our study locations is what does support look like for me to get through my program? So we have a range of support services. We have academic and study support. We have careers and employment. Now, this is a fantastic team. You can use them at the start of your study journey. In fact, you can use them before even becoming a student if you are someone who maybe is a bit lost. Maybe you want to do the Bachelor of Laws, maybe you're looking at our criminal and justice studies, maybe you're looking at doing both and just a little bit confused on where do I want to go from here. I'd love to talk to a careers counselor. So the teams at Careers and Employment are a team of careers counselors there to help you at the start of your journey, but they're also there at the very end as well when you're looking for those graduate employment opportunities. You can touch base with this team. They can give you a heap of tools when it comes to resume prep, cover letter prep, as well as where to find those dream graduate jobs. We have a health and well-being team, financial support and scholarships. We'll talk about that in a moment. Student groups and partnership opportunities, counseling, disability and equity, as well as our amazing student success team who will check in with you throughout your study journey. A little bit about our scholarships. Now, I think the first thing I just want to raise is that scholarships actually close tomorrow evening. So if you are looking at making a scholarship, please jump in. In fact, the best thing about our scholarship application is you do not have to be a current student at the point of time of applying for a scholarship. You can apply straight away, even if you haven't made your formal application yet. As long as that if you're expecting to receive that scholarship from our scholarships team, they will assess as long as you have an application or offer in by then. So there are more than 90% of scholarships available through one application service. So you only have to complete one application and it will automatically put you into all the scholarships you would be redeemable for, which is nice and easy. Now, there are a handful of single scholarships where you have to write a cover letter or apply a range of evidence to be able to be eligible for. Jump on our scholarships page and see what that looks like. I do highly recommend jumping in on this tonight after this webinar or tomorrow if you have some time, as scholarships for trimester 1 close tomorrow evening. So please jump in and make the most of it. It's a fee-free application, and you never know what you might get. You could get anywhere from a $500 book bursary all the way up to a 20, 30, $40,000 scholarship available to you, which is pretty amazing. All right, I'm going to hand this over to Dale. Um, Dale, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, maybe some of your research and what you're currently teaching, as well as maybe some of the cool things about our law program. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Cody, and thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. I think if you're tuning in anywhere, especially on a Zoom call after 6 p.m., you deserve a medal. But the best we can offer you is a chance to apply for a scholarship. So please do complete those, as Cody has said. My name's Dale Mitchell. I'm the law program coordinator here at the University of Sunshine Coast. I've been working here for a number of years now, and I teach everything from legal theory through to civil procedure, how you sue people, through to contract law. For me, law is such an interesting area to study because the opportunities are so diverse. There is no limitation now on the doors that a law degree can open for you, whether that's working in policy, in government, and engaging and understanding the huge social and cultural challenges which we're facing in this current moment, or whether it's as an advocate traditionally within the courtroom. There are so many opportunities which a law degree opens the door to. And here at UniSC, we are the top ranked public university in Queensland for that student support, which helps you to be able to succeed. But in all honesty, I think the best stat which we have going for us as a law program is that we're in the top 5 nationally in terms of employment outcomes for our students. We're really proud of that stat, and it's a recent stat, and it reflects the fact that there is a lot of work out there for lawyers and law students. So for me, one thing I've got to say at the very start, the Bachelor of Laws is an accredited program. If you choose to study a law degree, then you are on the pathway to becoming an admitted lawyer here in the state of Queensland. That notion, right, that starting your studies can lead to you swearing an oath in the Supreme Court and taking on that duty is a really big thing. And to choose to study law is a huge decision, but it's one where you've got to be careful about ensuring that you're going to a place where you can get that support. And one of the things that we offer here at UniSC are small class sizes with considered and capable people to support you along that way. Our Bachelor of Laws is 3 years full-time in length, and we offer that across entries in trimester 1 in February or trimester 2 in the middle of the year. And that's 3 years, of course, full time. You can, of course, study part time and move between those two different study modes as you move across your program. And we offer that in person at Sunshine Coast, at Pacific Downs, here in Petrie, down at Moreton Bay, and of course, 24/7, baby, 365 online, wherever an internet connection may touch you. But let me just say that if you choose to study with us online in our law program, there are moments where, yeah, we want to see you on campus because there's certain skills which we can only teach you face to face in the comfort of a simulated environment, which might look like a courtroom, which is often what we're engaging in where we conduct mock trials. Really, what a law program sets you up for is to be able to practice law. And we cover all of the priestly 11 subjects, the sacred areas of knowledge which you require to have competency in to be admitted as a lawyer here in the state of Queensland. And our program is very practical. We're all about ensuring that you have the skills to be able to succeed and not giving you those skills in your final year, giving you those skills from day one. In your first year studying here at UniSC, you will go through and engage in a mock trial. In your first year, you will engage in negotiations and arbitrations. In your first year, you will be drafting and learning how to write legal advice, how to write letters to clients, how to write memos. We're very authentic and realistic in that reality and preparing you for practice from day one and understanding what the practice of law actually means. So we have those legal skills which are there at the base. And, like I said, it's not something that you're going to do in your final semester. in a 4-year program, it's something you're going to be doing from week one. The idea of building those legal skills is embedded within the assessment, that kind of style of teaching and the work which we're doing. But we also have opportunities throughout our law program to engage and support real clients. In our required subject of community legal practice, you'll be working under the supervision of lawyers, supporting folks from our local communities who are attending our community legal clinics to get legal advice and support. We have opportunities for internships through our electives programs. And we have, of course, a wide array of different opportunities which arise as you move throughout your time here at UniSC. We do connect you with the profession. It's one of the greatest assets that we have is our close connection with our local profession on the Sunshine Coast, as well as down here in Moreton Bay. Our law program has several different extended minors, and basically these are opportunities for you to kind of specialize a little bit and draw upon a kind of a more comprehensive set of skills. One of those is advocacy and litigation. If you're someone who's interested from day dot, I want to be an advocate in a courtroom, I want to be engaging in litigation, then that package of extended minor courses helps you to get to that goal. If you're someone who's interested in actually what is it about the law which creates these complex relationships which lead to disputes, aka the areas of law where there is so much work out there because people can't stop getting the problems with them, then you might be interested in civil obligations, which is about the obligations that we often create and frame with one another. Think about family law, think about commercial law. These are those areas where there's a lot of work in our local area. But we also have a specialized option, which means that you can choose any of our electives courses and be able to create an extended minor of your own. And if you choose that option, there's the capacity to potentially accelerate the program actually for less than 3 years to get that done in 2.5 years. There's Flynn there on the page there, doing his best to advocate at our moot court. But of course, there's two sides to the criminal justice system. There are those lawyers who are in and prosecutors who are in the court advocating and prosecuting crime. And then there are those who are actually investigating it. And these are their programs when we think about the Bachelor of Criminology and Justice. Just like law, 3 years full-time or equivalent part-time, starting in that trimester 1 or try 2. Again, just like law, up at Sunshine Coast, down in Moreton Bay, or 24/7 online, wherever the internet can connect you. Criminology, right? When you think about criminology, I think it's so easy to fall into this trap of thinking that it's just about investigating crime. But criminology is also about preventing crime and understanding what leads to crime. Because when we understand those root causes, then we're able to prevent crime from happening. And that's really something which is at the core of our criminology program. I think about Tanisha there on the slide. Tanisha, who studied a double degree in law and criminology, the best of both worlds, and is putting that to use in working with clients out there in our community and helping get justice actually done. Where I think about the work that our researchers are doing within our criminology program, the Sexual Violence Research and Prevention Unit, who is genuinely changing law within the state of Queensland to be able to create better outcomes for victim survivors of crime and ensuring that perpetrators are not given just a slap on the wrist, that the sentences which are provided to criminal individuals actually reflect the views and opinions of the public. We have a real practical criminology program here too, which again reflects industry needs. You can imagine that there's a lot of work out there within the police force. You don't need to look too far to read some tales about the need for more recruitment in that space. But we also have growing needs within cyber intelligence, within intelligence in general. And these are areas, and of course, child safety and crime prevention, where there is a lot of work out there for our graduates. These specialized courses, again, drawing upon professional knowledges and expert knowledges, which we only have here at UniSC in terms of profiling, cybercrime, international justice, youth justice, homicide, forensic science, and much more. Learning about how to research crime related issues and actually answer the question, how do we prevent them? And of course, just like in law, we have opportunities for work integrated learning where you have professional placements which tend to occur in your final year, again, to actually put the knowledge that you learn into practice in industry and in professional settings. As I said before, Tanisha was just on the previous slide. Again, the best of both worlds sometimes comes up. It's not just a Hannah Montana blip or a quote, right? And when you want the best of both worlds, you often want to do a double degree. Now, these double degrees are 5 years in length. And when you hear that, you go, oh my God, that seems like a mozza. But it is an opportunity for you to be able to get specialization in multiple areas and get 2 degrees at the same time. And this can be a great opportunity, and Emma might talk about this later on, to be able to get an understanding of an area that you're interested in and combine that with your legal or criminology knowledge, again, to help create a sense of specialization. For example, a law degree, let me be honest with you, a lot of people think, and that might be why you're tuning into this call, a lot of people think that a law degree is going to represent, and a lot of people do think, that having a law degree means that you're extremely smart and it will open so many doors for you. And many of our law graduates are extremely smart, don't get me wrong. But often there's a lot of ego and a lot of marketing which comes with that. And that means that doors open for you, not just in the legal profession, but in other areas. If you choose to study history as part of your Bachelor of Arts, then trust me, doors will open for you in the history field because you have a law degree to partner with it. If you're studying business and majoring in management, then you will have more opportunities in the management side of things because employers know you have an understanding of law, you have an understanding of industrial law. So you're able to navigate those realms of risk. Or whether it's accounting, this amazing double degree, which gives you a capacity to be an accountant, as well as partnering that with the profession of a lawyer. You're going to have so many professional industries that you're signing up to, and so many people who are asking you for advice on their tax that it may end up occupying all of your free time. But there's plenty of opportunities there when you take a hold of those double degrees. I know many of us have. I did a law and a politics and government degree, aka a Bachelor of Arts. Really fun, had a great time. But that's an option there if you are interested in, again, like I say, the best of both worlds. There's plenty of opportunities and pathways here at UniSC, and Cody's going to go through and talk about them now.
Thanks, Dal. And to be honest, I really love the synergies. I was quite entertained over that, which is really great to see. There's a lot of questions coming through, and just before I jump into pathways to UniC, I just want to remind everyone, jump in the Q&A, start throwing your questions in now. I can see Charlie and Joel from our Future Students team are already answering them. A lot of questions around trimesters, about studying double degrees and what that looks like. We're lucky enough that Emma is joining us tonight and that can actually talk to us on what that looks like in her study environment. But for now, I'm going to jump into their pathways to UniSC and how you can actually apply for our law programs or criminology programs. Thanks, Dale. So there's a few ways different to apply depending on where you're up to in your study journey. So the most traditional way, if you're just finishing school or going to finish school, ATAR is the best way to usually apply when it comes to UniSC. And with your ATAR, you can actually apply for early offer guarantee, or what we call EOG. This is a year 12 scheme. So if you are in year 12 and you are a part of our footprints or outside of our footprints, check out our high schools page. It'll give you a wealth of information on what that looks like. It's actually based on the recommendation of your school. Sometimes you can get some adjustments there to really support you to gain entry into our law programs or criminology programs, of course. Now, if you haven't done any prior study or it's been a very long time, and even if you could get direct entry into law due to your accolades, but you might be a little bit nervous about your academic skills, we have a fantastic program called Tertiary Preparation Pathway, and I work with these students all the time. Another name we call it is TPP. It's a fantastic program which is fee-free and runs for one semester full time. And once you complete that in one semester, that fee-free bridging program, you get direct entry into a range of our programs. Now, it is based on your grades, so you need to make sure you're at least passing or getting higher grades to get into competitive programs like our Bachelor's of Laws or Criminology and Justice Studies. Now, if you want to know more about that, jump onto our tertiary preparation pathway page or our pathway section of our website. It'll give you in-depth information on how that works. And really fantastic part about it, my favorite part, it's a real great taste test if university is going to be a good fit for you because it's completely fee-free, comes with no financial burden but your time. And there's this one unit I really love. It's called TPP 101. It sounds very like an American class name. And it is designed to help you in academic writing, literacy and numeracy support, referencing support, how to find journal articles, all those little things on how to study, which will make the rest of your studies so much easier from there. We also have university diplomas. Another way you can actually gain entry into university is that if you have a prior qualification, maybe from TAFE, for example, if you have a certificate 3, you have a rank 68. If you have a certificate 4, you have a rank 74 or an ATAR 74. Or if you actually have a diploma, maybe you have a diploma from a previous working environment, you're wanting to change careers. Now that automatically gives you a ranking score of 82, and you can use this to gain entry into university, which is pretty cool. We have access to UniSC scheme, which gives you adjustment factors to support. Maybe you come from a regional footprint, or maybe you're relocating to the area. Maybe you're looking at studying online and come from a certain postcode that can give you adjustments to help you gain entry. Jump on Access UniSC scheme page on our website to find out more. As well as finally, we have our Indigenous Direct Entry and Access scheme as well, which is called Ideas, has a wealth of support there available for our Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander students. So how do you apply? Here at UniSC, you actually have to apply through QTAC. So when you go, first you want to go, I'm going to jump on the law page or the criminology, or maybe I want to do a double degree and I need to find that little secret code. It's called a QTAC code. You can actually find it nice and clear on the page. And you're going to use that code on qtac.edu.au. Now, while you're on, when you're applying for QTAC, which is a Queensland Tertiary Admissions Centre, when you're on there, you actually get 6 preferences. So, for example, if your goal is to apply for the Bachelor of Laws or the Bachelor of Criminology and Justice Studies, but you're a little bit nervous thinking, I might not get in, I don't know if my work experience or my previous study experience is going to be strong enough, you can actually put in 6 preferences. So maybe you want to go, preference number 1, I'm going to put in the Bachelor of Laws. Preference number 2, I'm actually going to put in that fee-free bridging program because I know if I can't get in, I'm going to go and do the bridging program, which is going to give me all the skills I need to thrive and be able to get direct entry through that pathway instead. Now, maybe, once again, maybe you're someone who goes, you know what, I actually want to do the TPP first, tertiary preparation pathway, because that's a better fit for me right now. I want to have a taste test. I'm actually just going to apply for that now. And then once I'm in TPP, it's actually a fee-free direct application into the Bachelor of Law program, which is pretty cool. And for that, QTAC, making a QTAC app actually has a fee attached to it. And what we're here to do tonight is kind of reduce that burden for you by giving away free QTAC vouchers valued at $155. Now, you can scan that QR code, but no need to worry. After this webinar tonight, tomorrow morning, we'll send you a copy of the webinar as well as a QTAC voucher form, as well as an opportunity to connect with one of our study advisors and have a one-on-one chat. Pick the option that suits you best. If you would love a QTAC voucher and you're an Australian domestic student and looking at studying with us in February next year, you can complete your details and we'll send you out a personalized code and you use that code once you're on the QTAC page. Nice and easy, save you $150 and the UniSC will take on that fee for you, which is pretty cool. All right, I think this is my favorite part of the evening. I'd love for Alex as well as Emma to jump on with us tonight. This is a Q&A panel discussion. This is where we're going to ask a series of questions to our special panel members, but as well from you guys, our audience members, an opportunity to ask our academics and students a range of questions as well. So start throwing all your questions in the Q&A tab. We'll answer them live. But first or foremost, if I could get you all to introduce yourself, maybe your background or work history, maybe your research areas, what you're doing now. And for you, Emma, obviously our current student, introduce obviously your study area and where you're currently studying from. That would be great. Alex, I'll get started with you. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Cody. So my name is Alex or Alessandro Perizzon. As the name gives it away, I wasn't born in Australia. I came to Australia 21 years ago. I'm the discipline lead of law. I'm an associate professor here in the School of Law and Society. I did my first two degrees, an LLB and LLM, at the University of Turin in Italy, and I did my PhD at the University of Wollongong. I'm a public lawyer. That means that I engage with law that deals with the public, with the states, with public institutions, with the relationship between individuals and public institutions, and so on. And so I cover areas such as international law, legal theory, comparative law, constitutional law. And my specific area of expertise has been for years comparative law and legal anthropology. So engaging with theories of law that are not necessarily the ones that we are always familiar with or that we are always exposed to. And at the same time, an emerging area of law known as ecological jurisprudence, the theory and practice of law that is informed by ecological considerations. Think of the emergence of rights of nature legislation around the world. Think of the criminalization of ecocide around the world, and so on and so forth. And I've been thinking, Cody, if I can just say a couple of more things, actually. I've been thinking how to complement Dale's wonderful presentation. It's an absolute pleasure working with Dale, formerly as colleagues and now as discipline lead and program coordinator. Dale does a wonderful job, and you have seen it in his presentation right now. And so I thought the two things that I can add is why law and why here at UniSC. Why law? Because as Dale kind of hinted at, and as the founder of Client Earth, the most famous environmental organization in Europe, James Thornton, once said, law is the language, whether we like it or not, law is the language of international and domestic institutions. And to be able to speak that language and that grammar means that we are able to engage in a dialogue with, apologies, with those institutions. And that is why law is such a flexible degree. It allows you entry in every instance in which that language is relevant, be it the classical profession of law, be it the judiciary, be it the political career, be it any governance institution that requires that language to be spoken fluently. So that's why law. And why UniSC? Because Dale gave you the numbers, but one thing that I can add maybe to those numbers is that these numbers are at a point in time. But what's even more impressive about those numbers is the trajectory from which they have emerged. This is a very young law school. It's an 11 years old law school, and yet the growth of the law school in terms of its success, its research, its growth, etc., is, I wouldn't say unprecedented, but certainly remarkable. And so, and because of that, it's also a very young law school and one that allows the energy and vibrancy of young researchers and academics to really seep in to the relationships that we have with our students. So, as I hope actually Emma will confirm, you don't have to, Emma, of course, and you can contradict me if that is not true. But I believe that it's this personal relationship that we have with our students that make the law school here particularly valuable. And as someone who comes from a university who is over 500 years old, the University of Turin, the self-professed legacy of the group of eight is far less impressive to me than it may be to someone else who doesn't have that particular background. What is impressive to me, however, is the genuine relationship that is built between the faculties or the staff and the students. And I generally believe that this is one of the strengths here of the law school here at UniSC. So without any further ado, I just pass it over to Emma to either confirm or completely deny the what I just presented.
Hi everyone, my name's Emma. I am a student here at UniSC. I've just finished my 4th year of a dual degree, Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Criminology and Justice, and now going into my 5th year. And yeah, I definitely agree. At UniSC, the relationship between the students and the faculty. I've personally really enjoyed it. It's definitely made the student experience a lot more fun and engaging, and showing up to classes, your lecturers actually ask, how are you going? If you have questions, I used to be quite scared with asking questions, but now I can just ask questions, and the response back is actually really accepting. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my experience here, and I'll probably go into more detail about how I got in, where I'm from, I think with another question, Cody.
Yeah, well, I didn't even have to ask it. And I think that's a really important one, because the one thing I think Dale highlighted before, as well as Alex, is that there is so many different areas of law. Now, I'm a past business student, and the one thing I've worked out already in my career, now I've just turned 32, and I've worked 5 years in international retail, 2 years in property development, and now 5 years in education and health. And I technically kind of do the same role, but across these amazing different industries. And I worked out certain industries feel really different to others, and can make the job feel really different as well. So I find that really quite remarkable about certain programs that are quite diverse, like law. Law is in every single industry. Law is in health, in education, in traditional business. Law is obviously in education and schools, as well as obviously in criminal studies as well. Now, Emma, I'd love to know what made you, well, A, how did you gain entry? Because I believe you're studying on the Sunny Coast campus, but you had to relocate to the area. So how did you gain entry, and what did that look like? As well as what made you choose your double degree? Like, why the double?
So I'm originally from Townsville, so up in far north Queensland, and I was looking around at universities that I knew I wanted to go into law because I really enjoyed legal studies in high school. I liked engaging with the court system as well, so I thought that would be a great way to not only expand my interest in law, but also just a way to help people out as well. So I was looking around at universities, and I saw the dual degree of law and criminology down at the Sunny Coast. And I also saw, as Dan mentioned, the smaller class sizes, lots of student support. So I felt pretty comfortable choosing this as a location. And so I received early offer guarantee in year 12 when I graduated, which allowed me to get an offer before I even finished year 12. And then during the December to January school holidays, I just moved down, and I could enroll into scholarships when I had that offer as well, start looking for rental accommodations, for example. But yeah, mainly it stems from like an interest of seeing how the law works, and that's obviously through the law degree. But then pairing it with the criminology dual degree, I got to understand the types of people going through the criminal justice system, how the policing system works, issues such as mental health or diversity. So it's a good pairing if you're interested in understanding how the law functions and why it functions how it does, and then how it's affecting people on a social level as well.
Now, Emma, before moving on to the next question, a question came in from the audience from a prospective student. Trinity has asked, can you do the double degree together, or do you do like one, like for example, do you complete the Bachelor of Laws, then do the Bachelor of Criminology, or do the subjects kind of flow intertwine, and do they relate to each other quite well?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of flow between the two. So for me personally, how I've structured it is doing 4 courses per semester, or now next year trimesters. And I've done 2 law courses and then 2 criminology courses. But throughout your degree, you can kind of pick and choose what you would prefer. So for me, this semester, I did 4 law courses. So then in my final year, it was back to that balance of a few more criminology courses and then a few more of those intensive law courses in my final year. But you can definitely kind of pick and choose. And in terms of working together, they do. I found that in my first year, I learned a lot about the theories of law and the theories of criminology and crimes. And then seeing those pairings together really helped out gain the full picture of the legal system.
And you were just talking about the theories of learning, and that's how the first year really does start, is understanding all the theoretical models and all the different chapters of law. Like even being a past business student, we did contract law and competition and consumer law. Fun subjects, challenging subjects, some would say. But once you have a wealth of knowledge on, I guess, the theoretical learning, it's all about how do I get some hands-on learning experiences. And I'd love to go to Alex and Dale to this one first, and then Emma, I'd love to hear about your experiences as well. Dale, you're touching about hands-on learning in the community as well. Do we have it built into our programs? What does work integrated learning look like as a whole here at UniSC, a part of our law programs? And Emma, I'm going to jump to you straight after. What has it looked like for you so far? Do you have any more placements available to you? Dale.
Thanks, Cody. Great question. Let me try and break this down because it kind of has multiple parts. Firstly, I mean, we got to kind of to be legal, right? Work integrated learning. I really hate the distinction because I think good learning is always focused on what does the job look like in the end. And with law, the jobs are so diverse, that's the reality. Um, but much of our work, you can imagine, we're thinking about the traditional practice as a lawyer and advocating for people in different ways. And so that work integrated learning is in every single step of your degree that is coming into play. Like again, we're not just doing random essays or random thought processes which are not connected with the reality of how the law works. As Alex rightly said, law is the language of life, and mastering that language is key. And you can't speak that language just into the ether. You have to have context, and we're always operating within those contexts. Whether that's advising a client, whether that's negotiating agreement, whether that's putting forward something in court, which again we built into our courses. So that's always there. In terms of like what we might call as more traditional kind of work integrated learning spaces, we have that built within our degree too. So we have a subject which you complete, as I mentioned earlier, called community legal practice. It's something usually towards the later part of your program where you have that opportunity to, again, draw everything together, draw all the skills which you've practiced throughout your degree and put them into that critical nexus of working alongside under the supervision of practicing lawyers, which we have on staff who are, giving you an opportunity to then work alongside in real situations, supporting people who are going through a legal challenge, right? That's key to us. And that is what we build you up towards. We're always supporting you in getting towards that end point. We also have an elective, which we call internship, where there's the opportunity for you to do those practical placements. And those internships are designed alongside our students. And that means, you might be, okay, I'm interested in working within the judiciary. I'm interested in working within, an environmental group. We will go and try and find you those internship opportunities. If you're interested, for example, in family law, so many of our students come here yearning for a specialized knowledge within an area which is passionate to them. We connect you to our local profession to get those opportunities. Again, though, don't just think this is something that sits 3 weeks at the end of a program. That is not how this program operates. That's certainly how others out there do. And let's talk some smack about them offline. But that's something that we're doing constantly throughout to build you into being able to navigate the space and the practice of, the work you want to do, right?
That's perfect.
And
so,
if I may,
go on, Alex. Thank you.
Sorry, Cody, if I may add something to what Dale was saying. Again, sort of a diachronical view of how the law school is actually expanding. We're in a phase where we're going from startup to scale up, so to speak. We're really expanding our DNA, so to speak, like who we are and who we are reaching out to. So we have very well-established connections within City Downs. We are establishing really good connection with Moreton Bay, but we're really reaching out not just beyond the boundaries of the state or even of Australia, but into international connections. So we're building connections with international law schools. So to create the opportunity to engage in exchanges, be it with Dartmouth or York University in Canada and so on and so forth. So that scaffolding that Dale described at the moment is already incredibly solidly baked into the program itself, but it's also expanding in many other directions that will expand very, very fast over the next couple of years.
Sounds amazing. It sounds like opportunities about, I work very closely with the study abroad team, and there are opportunities that sounds like you can study some of your program overseas if you are wanting to seek out those global opportunities and global exchanges. So, Emma, over to you. What has this looked like for you? Obviously, we've heard it from our academics who are heavily involved in the program. What has your chosen pathway look like in terms of clinical experience, as well as did you decide go down the internship route? Have you had a go at that yet?
So I really enjoy our assessments in the law and criminology degree. What to expect as a student, there's some essays, but in terms of the essay styles, it's looking at a piece of law or taking a deeper dive into a legal aspect. So it's, improving your writing skills, your research skills as well. But also you get to choose an area that you can kind of write your essay about, which is really awesome. And of course, like I've gone through the moots. So we do have the moot court at the Sippy Downs campus. And so you get to pretend to be a lawyer. You dress up like a lawyer. You have your cases and your research that you've done, and then you follow those court formalities. I personally really like that because I don't want the first time to be publicly speaking, like in front of a judge when I'm in the actual courtroom. So it does build up your experience with those speaking skills. We also have client advice. So whether that's written advice or it's spoken advice, so you record to the camera and you've got a time frame. And for criminology, it's pretty similar as well. You might have some advice you have to give, some presentations in class to do with a particular criminology topic, so like preventing crime and measures that you would recommend. I had an on-site report where I had to go find a company and then report on what weak spots they had and to prevent crime. And then for me this year, I'm hopefully doing honours research, for example. So if you're interested in research, there's those opportunities. We have the Clary program as well, so the Criminology and Law research program. So you can be researching if you're interested in that, and those internship programs. So I'll be doing that in my final year, and that works within your degree. So you're not taking any extra time out for those.
Dale, it sounds like although Emma's supposed to finish at the end of next year, I don't think she's going anywhere from what I can tell from her study experience so far, which is really cool to see. Obviously, everyone finds their study journey a little differently. Some people want to go straight into the workforce. Others do fall in love with research, and some do want to go down those honors and possibly PhDs and really move in that advocacy for long-term success as well in terms of understanding what's happening in our society. So that's really cool to hear, Emma. And this is a perfect segue in terms of, I guess, like what does study look like in terms of flexibility? And Emma, I'm going to go straight back to you before I jump over to Dale and Alex, because there's a few changes coming up in our law degree and overall at UniSC overall now moving into trimesters. Emma, what does study look like for you? How many days are you on campus throughout your program? Are you full? It sounds like you're full time right now. What does it look like in terms of commitment for you, and what else are you balancing outside of study?
Yeah, so I am a full-time student, which is 4 courses per semester or trimester. And I do have work commitments, I do have social commitments. But the great thing about the degrees here is that you do have those flexibility options. So even though I'm studying full time, I'm not giving up work, I'm not giving up social time, I'm not giving up relaxation time either, which I find pretty important is having that balance. So for me, we've got classes in person or online for 2 hours, and I do 4, so that's 8 hours a week. I choose to be in person at Sippy Downs. And then you also have 1 hour of online content, which is self-paced. So you'll have some videos from your lecturers, you'll have some readings that you might have to do with textbooks, or some further research or time allocated towards your assessments. So for me personally, I tend to allocate around 10 hours per course, but I leave my weekends completely free to pick up work or those social events that I'd like to go to.
Thanks, Emma. And I think this is a quite similar question. And Dale, I'll probably throw over straight to you for starters, since this is your program area. Is we have an attendee tonight asking, I'm doing law and criminology online. What are the basic on-site requirements? And there's a couple of people asking, because you did mention there is opportunities to come onto campus. Is that a formal requirement? What does that look like across that program? Is that just attached to one certain course? What does that look like?
Yeah, look, it's a complex thing to answer. Essentially, let's just be real. With any program, you have to be able to engage in certain skill sets, and we want to teach you the things which we need to teach you in the best way that we can communicate those, right? Sometimes that's online, and a lot of stuff works online. We've engaged with online quite a bit, as Emma said. But if you choose to study with us in a completely online program, there are moments when we require you to attend physically a UniSC campus. And they tend to be at different key moments throughout your learning journey. So one of the first things that we do, and there was another question to do with mentorship before, and that's about connecting with us as faculty, but also connecting with more senior students and connecting with other students. The first thing that you will do as part of your legal studies will be attending a mentoring contact point. That's what we call them, which is a boot camp. Don't worry, we're not going to force you to go into athleisure. It is just a moment for you to attend on campus, and everyone does attend on campus to connect with one another in the very start of your law journey. It's one day. You turn up, you do that one day, that is you ticked off. The rest of your tutorials for that subject are all online. When we talk about these mentoring contact points, there are about 5 or 6 of those throughout your entire 3-year study. And again, these are moments where we're getting you to attend something which is cohort building, like that boot camp I just mentioned, or there are certain skills which we want to be able to assess and engage with you in person, like the moot, as Emma said. Working within a physical space is very different to what you're currently experiencing right now. I am, as you know, an influencer with my massive ring light. That is not the same as being able to command a physical space of a courtroom and to be comfortable there. And to be comfortable there, we need you to be in that simulated space on one of our campuses. Same thing to do with our negotiation. We have that negotiation dispute resolution course, which has a mentoring contact point tied to it too. But the other moment, which is required to be on campus, in person, is when you're engaging with that work integrated learning, which we can't do due to the nature of legal advice, just flat out online, right? Because we have intense confidentiality requirements with this profession. Again, there are some points where we have to and we want to connect with you in person and connect you with other colleagues and others in person too. It does help you to get a better outcome. It shows that our students have actually succeeded more because of this design, and it does give you better skills. So it's a very small commitment in terms of the entirety of the program, but it is key in terms of us meeting what we see as our professional obligations for you to get the best that you can and become the best lawyer you can throughout your time with us.
Thanks, Dale. We've got a few questions coming through, so we better get through them before we wrap up tonight. Alex, over to you now, especially around the trimester model, which I'm sure you've been looking at a lot here at UniSC, the UniSC PACE model. We have a student saying, is 8 units the max you can do per year? I know 8 units is technically a full time, but we do have that extra semester. Can you provide any advice what that could look like? Do students have the opportunity to increase that quantity, or is it more about spreading it out and balancing it with all other last commitments?
So I'd say we need to consider this from 2 points of view. One is technically, can the student increase the number of units or courses that they can undertake in a year? And the more important perspective, however, is should a student increase that number? Because one may think that it is technically possible and might try to do that, but spreading oneself too thin means that one fails to succeed in everything that, or even in all that one tries to do. So the idea of 8 courses per year is predicated on the maximum available amount of information that one can meaningfully absorb in that year. What the shift to what's known as the PACE model, or this new trimester model, is to try and allow people who have different life commitments or different life requests to spread or organize their studies accordingly. It's unlikely that we are going to move in law to this new PACE model fully until 2028. So for next year and the year after, we are still teaching in the same way in which we have been teaching traditionally. So the 2 main trimester 1 and 2, will still offer the core units that any student need to the core courses that any student need to complete. And then not so much perhaps already next year, but certainly the year after, we might have some electives offered in the 3rd trimester. So that it is likely that for next year and the year after, students will likely want to engage with 4 courses in trimester 1, 4 courses in trimester 2, and then take a break over the final trimester. That will change from 2028 onwards. And so the entire program will be reimagined to along the lines of this new model. So there's still a bit of uncertainty on what the maximum number of courses is technically allowed to be. There is certainly the possibility of asking the program coordinator, in this case Dale, for a permission to increase the number of courses. But we are very careful about the circumstances in which that can be or should be granted. So there will be an ongoing conversation, obviously, with the student, and we will engage with the student as to why that is needed and what that means. Primarily because there are requirements on the maximum or minimum time to complete a law degree that the accrediting body give us. And so we cannot allow a completion of a law degree below this minimum threshold. And so if one were to do 12 courses per year, theoretically one could finish in 2 years, which is not allowed by the accrediting body.
Yes, and what we found across some of the programs that we've been modeling out through this that will start on the trimester model earlier than others is that although you technically can increase the units sometimes throughout the program, it doesn't change your finish date. You might just find that in your very final semester that, yes, you've got ahead and you've been able to do a lot of units, but you still have 1 unit left over that you still have to do in that final semester anyway. So it's all about balance. It's all about getting to that finish line. It's not about smashing it out. It's all about going, well, I know I'm going to try and get it done by then. What does this chapter of period of my life look like? Am I going to spread it all out? Am I going to smash it out and make the end more empty so I have more time to pick up maybe a work opportunity nice and early, an associate position, for example? Everyone's got a different model and everyone has different commitments outside of study as well. So it's something to really balance. Now, we do only have 8 minutes left remaining, and I do have to get through a couple more slides. So we have heaps of questions coming through, and they're all really good questions. So I might just jump straight over to you, Dale. Through a criminology degree, can I go into a forensic department of work, or is it another degree I would need?
So your criminology and justice program is going to give you a lot of knowledge about criminology, and there are some electives which are in place around forensics and forensic science. But if you're looking at being a forensic scientist, then the best thing I can push you towards would be a science degree, right? That's really where you're going to get those skills.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that a forensic degree is heavily science focused.
And if you're really interested in forensics in general, check out the Masters of Cyber Forensics. I'm probably brutalizing that terminology, which is on offer here at UniSC.
Thanks, Dale, and thanks for the spruik. I love that. Another really great question, and I think, Alex, this would be really great for you, is the final accreditation Australia-wide, international, or just Queensland? And you did comment about our global learning just before. Can you provide any advice on that?
So if by accreditation, we mean the admission to the legal profession, because I imagine that's what the question might imply. Not necessarily. If we're looking just at the accreditations in terms of the completion of the degree, well, the completion of the degree is recognized in Australia and then can be recognized internationally depending on where one is working. But if the question is about admission to the legal profession, that's a multi-layered process. First, one has to complete a law degree, which is actually what one would do here at UniSC. Then there must be a completion of what's known as the the PLT, Practical Legal Training course, which is offered by a number of providers. And that lasts around 6 months. After that, no, community legal practice is different from the PLT. I'm answering already a question that has arrived now. They're two separate things. The community legal practice is a course that we do within the degree. The practical legal training is something that is done after the degree, and it's offered by a separate provider. After the completion of the PLT, then one has to submit an application to the Law Society, the Queensland Law Society in this case, with all the information about that proves that a person is fit and proper to practice as a lawyer, to be admitted to practice as a lawyer. After that, one can be admitted as a lawyer. That admission, however, is for the Queensland Supreme Court. And then because of the way in which the federal system works, one can also practice in other states. But the admission is specifically to the state. So one is admitted to practice law in the state in which one has obtained admission.
So keep this in mind, audience, that this is actually a quite common practice across most bachelor level law programs, even across our fellow Queensland institutions. So keep that in mind and keep that process in mind that most fellow institutions will most likely go down a similar pathway in terms of where you start. Once you're obviously got your bachelor's level qualification, you then start moving up the ladder in those steps. Thanks, Alex. That was perfect. Now, I think that was one of the final questions. So I think what I'm going to do here is, like, Emma, I'm just going to throw to you. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to a prospective student about jumping on that law journey, what would it be? Obviously, someone who's coming up to their final 5th year. What a long journey that is, and it doesn't sound like you're going anywhere too soon. Can you give one piece of advice? And then what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to start wrapping up this presentation. So I just want to say thank you, Dale, and thank you, Alex, for joining us this evening. And Emma, over to you for your final piece of advice in the student perspective. Thank you.
Definitely don't be scared. Go for these opportunities. I remember 18-year-old me was very much scared, but going through the journey now, 4 years later, I've loved it. It's been a lot more fun, less intimidating than I thought. So if you're keen for law, criminology, dual degrees, whatever, go for it, try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, it's a learning opportunity, but you'll find that at the end of the tunnel, it's a lot better than you would have thought. So definitely go for it.
Thanks, Emma. And keep in mind that the UniSC study journey is very flexible. You might start in a Bachelor of Laws and you might decide, you know what, I'm really loving these criminology subjects. I actually want to do the double. You can actually add that onto your program. And our team at Student Central will actually design your study plan to make it fit best. You might be on the opposite. You might be in a double degree and you'd be like, you know what, I really just want to get this done as fast as possible. I'm passionate about the law side. I actually don't want to do a double degree anymore. And there are opportunities where you can now move that into a single, as well as flexibility of studying on campus or online or interchanging between the two. There is a little bit of flexibility with that as well, including studying every single semester. You can choose to study full-time, part-time, or scale anywhere between 1 to 4 subjects. Now, do keep in mind that all these things do affect your completed finish date, but it's nice to know that you don't have to make a decision what your study looks like from your very first day. All you need to do is pick one trimester at a time. What does this trimester look like for me? What else do I have going on? And get to the finish line, enjoy a quick little break, and then do the same thing for the next semester. And that is how you chip away at a big goal, is by making heaps of small goals and chipping away at them. That's my small piece of advice, getting through 2 degrees. 1 degree I did not want to do for a job, and my second degree that I love and do every single day. It's all about chipping away at it every semester. Don't worry about the finish line, just enjoy the journey and just focus at the semester that you're in. I just want to say thank you so much to Dale, Emma, and Alex for joining me this evening. We're going to start wrapping up the presentation now. If you do have any more questions, feel free to throw them in. We'll stick around and make sure all your questions are answered this evening. So if you do have any other further questions and you would like some one-on-one study advice, you can actually book a call with our uni experts. You will receive this in an email tomorrow, but also you can see the contacts on our program pages. If you jump on our program page, you'll see book a campus tour or study advisor session, and you can pick either of the two or both. In fact, if you want to tour our campuses for the first time, as well as talk about the program, you can do exactly that with our study expert, which is pretty cool. That exact same team is actually Student Central, and you can give them a call on 0754302890, and they're there to help you along your study journey, how to gain entry, and first and foremost, making sure that you have a plan ready for next year. That's everything from us this evening. We just want to say thank you so much, and a big thank you to our special guests who joined us this evening. We're going to stick around for a couple of minutes answering your questions in the Q&A tab, but we look forward to seeing you on campus in the near future. Thank you again.